welcome, welcome. I'm super excited to be welcoming you all here with us today. It's Chrislet Vassal here with you. And today I have an amazing, amazing guest who is popping in to share with us. This is actually not just a guest, but this is a friend of mine, a mentor, someone who has poured into me in a massive, massive way. So as a young business owner coming up in the biz, he has been one of those persons who has truly just poured on into me. And I'm super excited because he is going to be one of our guests at the shift. And he's also going to be getting the opportunity to pour into all of you. You are all going to be blessed. He has been a blessing in my life in I cannot even count the number of ways. And so I'm going to shut up for a little bit and I'm going to welcome our guest, Vincent McNeil, who is a serial entrepreneur, and I must tell you, a powerful man of God as well. And so we're excited that we have him here joining us. So Vincent, Sir McNeil, let's hear from you. Welcome.
I thank you for the opportunity for this time to even share with everyone today, because I count everything that someone asks me to do as a privilege, because many times that God allows us to come and we have been given things and we don't understand, but it's only given to us in order to help others up. You know, a lot of time, many leaders think, the past leaders, I would say, always used to say it's lonely at the top. And I disagree with that, because if you're not pouring into others, then you will be lonely at the top. But as you bring somebody else along with you, then you won't be lonely. And as I was saying, is that I remember before I even started out in business, I heard a story of this man that father had given him 100 acres of land. And the father begged him, say, listen, do not sell the land for whatever you do. Just don't sell the land. It's a legacy. And this was just before the Great Depression. And the Depression came, and the man crops dried up. Everything that he thought he could do because he was a farmer was starting to go to waste. But he just kept not understanding why this is happening to him. But he was like, I know I made the promise to my father that I would not sell. And one day he actually got down on his knees and then began to pray. And he said, God, please show me what I'm missing, because I made the promise not to sell this piece of land. And one day he got a knock at the door. And when he saw someone at the door, said, okay, hi, can I help you? And the man said, I've been looking at your land. I don't want to buy your land. I just want to do some evaluations on your land, if it's okay with you. And the man said, well, long as you're not buying my land, I don't have a problem with that. And he said, but you know what? Just to make you feel comfortable, I'll give you some money. Just to make you understand, I'm not trying, I just want to go and evaluate the land. And the man said, wow, God, you really answer prayers really quick, because he had some money now to pay the taxes for the property. But yet, when the man came back to his door and knocked again, he said, sir, I want to make you an opportunity. He says, I went and I surveyed your land, and I discovered oil on your land. Ooh. And we want to drill. We don't want to buy the land from you, but we want to have the rights to drill on your land. And the man said, well, what's in it for me? And he said, well, we can sign an agreement now that you will get paid for so much for each barrel that we do. And he said, okay, fine. And what I took from that story was the man did not even know he was sitting on wealth. All he knew at that time was just that he had land and he wanted to grow crop. But what was beneath the surface was much more valuable than what was above the surface. And so, and I looked at that and I said, a lot of time, someone else can see things in you that you don't even see for
Right.
yourself. And when you do this and you start to identify this, you can make sure that you're not taking that walk by yourself. You bring others up. So, I'm looking forward to coming to Jamaica, and not only to bask in the sun, but to also to pour and share with others, because you know I want to hold back some things until the shift,
Yeah.
because as I was telling you the other day that it was profound how I even went into business, and but I will do that. I will share that at a later time. But I just want to just say, thank you for the opportunity that you're giving to me, that I may be able to pour into others. Right?
We are really on to a beautiful start. I must say we are on to a beautiful start, because what you said just now through that story, in terms of a lot of us literally sitting on wealth. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
us don't recognize just how powerful we are as a people, and just in our very hands. And when I say our hands, I mean through our minds. There is so much that we're able to do and so much that we're capable of, but because we're unaware. We're unaware of literally the very fact that we are sitting on gold. We are sitting on millions of dollars. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, and I was saying this just yesterday, people think that the answer is out there. They think
Mm.
that somebody else has the answer, that the answer is in the hand of the government, or the answer is in the hand of some boss, or it's in the hands of somebody else. They keep looking on the outside for the answers, but the answers really lie in ourselves. But it requires that we're going to drill into self. And in drilling, it means that we're going to study. It means that we're going to invest in ourselves. It means that we are going to find ourselves in the right environments so that we're able to bring forth fruit, so that we're able to grow. And that is what the shift is all about. It's about drilling into you to bring out those things that are dormant in you, to teach you these principles that you are going to be able to utilize to completely shift your finances. And I'm super excited about that, because you're one of those persons who you have watched my journey from the get-go, and so you know where the coming is coming from. You
Yes,
know the
yes.
start out of the journey, and we are not there yet. We still have miles to go, but so far away from where we've started out from. But one of the things that I want us to pull into and to just discuss as well is some of those misconceptions that the church has around money. I'm gonna share this very briefly. I was passing through a crusade that was being held pretty close to me, and I drove by, and I pulled up, and I was just sitting in the vehicle, and I was listening, and the preacher started sharing. And at first, the microphone system was just making a mess, and they started praying and all sort of stuff for the microphone system to get back into alignment. And it was just a whole mess for a little while, until finally it started to function-ish. I say function-ish. It didn't completely function altogether so well, but it was functioning-ish. But one of the things that the preacher shared is, and I wanted so much to do a live about this, but all of that week and the week after, I was just slammed with work, and so I didn't get the chance to do a live about it. But he was there, and he was sharing that he is not into this prosperity gospel. And I'm like, what? So what are you into? Failure and lack gospel? What are you saying? And he continued to talk all sort of smash against prosperity and wealth. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to him, and I'm like, I reject this message. I reject this message. And this is church. This is
Yes.
church. And I was like, if people are sitting and this is what they're listening to, it is no wonder so many people live with such limiting beliefs and such poor misconceptions around wealth, that people feel uncomfortable even desiring to have money. And it should not be so. And so I want us to dig into that for a little bit, because to me, that's a massive problem. And we find that not just here in Jamaica only, but that's something that it's all around the world. And it's something that is within the church. So that's something that we have to break. And that's definitely something that we're going to be addressing at the shift, because we have to alter those mindsets around money. Because if your mindset around money is negative, you will never be able to attract it. Because if you are rejecting it and if you have negative to say about it and you are going against it, how can you pull it into you? And so, very quickly, what are some of those things you have heard persons say about, those misconceptions, those lies, those statements that you've heard persons say about and around money and wealth?
You know, I look into it because I'm on both sides of the coin. Okay. I'm on the administrative side in church as well. And I have personally struggled with that because the older generation believes in these fables that have been passed down through generations. And that's the biggest thing you will have to overcome is this here thing called mama said, daddy said, and then it got passed on down. But then when you ask somebody about the story, nobody knows how the story started. They don't know why they're still doing the reason why, but because mama, grandpa said do it, and that's the way they do it. And unfortunately, that has to stop in order for people to progress. If I may share this here, there's a church I was attending. And when I first went there, they used to say, don't send your children to college because college kills. And I sat there and I was thought, well, maybe that was just a slip of the tongue once or twice, but it had seemed to be the norm. And I said, oh no, all my children are going to get their education because why? I want them to have a piece of paper, yes, but that will not be the ending, but it's just a piece of paper to get them in certain doors. But it's just the fact that when you have these fables and people don't understand where it was started, it gets passed down through generations. Oh, you're not supposed to be rich in church, because they take certain scriptures out of context. And because people choose not to read, just like how you said in the beginning, you have to pour into yourself. You have to read for yourself. And nowadays, people don't even know what certain scriptures say, but they just run with part of the scripture and they don't understand it. Where the Bible says it's easier for a camel to go through an eye. I was like, yes, but it never said you couldn't be rich.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and I challenge people because I'm the type of teacher that provokes students. So I will, forewarn people is that I ask a question. I said, a little about the Bible. They're like, yeah. I said, was Abraham blessed?
Come on.
Abraham was very rich.
Yep.
So he was still a servant of God. So it didn't have a problem with having that money. And look at Solomon. Solomon had money, but yet
there's a list.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. But that's just the fact that if you want to overcome some of these things, these myths that are in the church, it's going to take a restructuring of this right here. And you have to throw out all of that other stuff that was preceded. And once you can get there, then you'll be able to see that the church will progress. Why is it that some churches progress financially and some others don't? And because why? They understand. And I was jotting down earlier today and I was saying, you know what? People only believe half of the scriptures. They don't believe the other part that tells them that they can become wealthy.
Yeah.
They only hear about certain things. It's like, okay, but there's a whole other section of the Bible you're missing.
Yeah.
And yes, you can read, and yes, you can
Yes.
get wealthy. Yeah,
Yes.
but
Yes.
hey,
I think a part of it is a lot, unfortunately, a lot of Christians are lazy. We want miracles. I'm gonna tell you what I mean. I'm gonna tell you what I mean. I'm gonna clean that up a little
oh
bit.
yes, yeah, yes.
I saw you there. I saw you there. I'm gonna clean that up a little bit. A lot of us just want miracles to happen. We just want for God to open the skies and to just pour down favors. And we never have to truly go out there and go through stuff and to really grind at it. And so when a lot of people don't see it happen that way, they say, well, it's not the will of God. Because if it were the will of God, it would be easy. I specifically had that heard that conversation, and I was like, no way. Where do you get that from? What Bible are you reading? Right? There are so many different stories in the Bible that showed grit and hustle. So I don't know where persons get the concept from that because I'm a child of God, He's just going to open up heaven and He's going to release and pour on down a blessing, and I don't have anything. I don't have to do anything. And if it doesn't happen that way, then okay, this is not the will of God. And so we've gotten so spiritual. we're so spiritual, right? That
Yes,
these are the expectations. And so because that doesn't happen, we become complacent, we become lazy, and we are not stretching, we are not pushing ourselves. But the little kid on the block who, he's not a Christian. He's all about the hustle. He goes out there and he makes 1,000,001 phone calls. I'm not talking about these scammers. I'm not talking about that.
mm.
Right? I'm talking about people who are possibly in sales and they're grinding away. They're reading books. They're investing in themselves, and you see them succeed financially. And a lot of the times, we have a tendency to point to their source of wealth as being that of the devil. That is not always the case. Right? A lot of these people are working really, really hard for what they have accomplished. Right? But it's almost like we are just expecting God to just put this stuff in our hands and we don't have to do much. We don't really have to work at it. And that is not the case. There is work to be done. If we're going to achieve stuff, we have to put work into it. But we have to first understand the principles, and that's how this study comes into play. If you step into the library, for a lot of Christians, a lot don't even have libraries. If you step, what are you reading? If you are going to develop wealth, what books have you been reading? And for a lot of persons, it's nothing.
Mm-hmm. You're
So
right.
if we are not doing the things that we need to do to learn the principles to elevate, we will never be able to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. And like I was saying yesterday, when we acquire wealth, it gives us the opportunity to step into a whole nother level of influence. And for me, that is very powerful because
Yes, it is.
the world has gotten very, very influential. And as a result of their influence, we are seeing them all over the TV, hearing them all over the radio, they're all across the internet. But we are behind the scenes. I mean, there are some people that are popping up, right? And they're doing stuff. But compared to what the world is doing, we're sleeping.
Yes, that's true. But not only that, one of the things I've discovered over the years is that the world has taken principles out of the Bible and used those principles to make money, loads of money. And
Oh,
yet, because we don't read, as you said, we don't understand that they have taken that and utilized it and run with it. And now they're making so much money, so much money. You know, even with the little thing you had just said, I challenged someone one time. I said, the Bible, I said, if not that you encourage these things, I said, but if a gangster came into the church and he put 50K into the offering plate. What do you do with the money?
Mm.
And they were all over the board about how they would not take the money. And I said, okay, can you please turn to this here scripture here, please? And then I what? I said, well, there's a little scripture in the Bible that says that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. So that wealth that that young man just had, he brought it in here because he said it was laid up for the righteous. So what's your problem?
Mm.
What's your problem? But it's just to come to show you that it's how they do not take these scriptures the way that they should. They only read about the righteous scriptures, but they don't understand the part about how you can obtain wealth.
Yeah.
And once you continue to make this shift a success, and we can shift the mindset of others, then you can will see
Absolutely.
changes. Because look in the Bible, some of the great edifices were the religious edifices that were going up, right? The sanctuary. Now you got churches all in storefronts, and that bothers me because where's the wealth? Where's the wealth? Because if the church is supposed to be wealthy, then we should be having these great sanctuaries, these edifices. But no, we allow the world to come in,
Mm.
read that Bible, take those principles, and run with it. Yeah.
It's something that I'm always talking about as well, because pretty much all of the personal development pieces of content that you can find out there are built upon biblical principles. So they may
Yes.
not say it. For the most part, they don't say it. But if you read, you will see these very things lining up in scripture as well. And it is so sad that we as the children of God, we have the word of God, that we are reading this every single Sunday, and for some of us who are actually serious, every single day, right? And
Yes.
we are not utilizing what is there. I believe there is something significantly wrong if you are going to sit there and you're going to stand and you're going to say, my father owns 1,000 cattle on a hill, and you don't have a single cattle to show. There is something seriously wrong with that picture. We have to be a true representative, because how can you say that you serve a good God and your God is allowing you to suffer? It's not him really that's allowing you to suffer. It's you not stepping into principle. It's you not utilizing what he has placed there for you to utilize. So it's just like us as parents. We send our children to school and the teacher teaches. If the student does not accept the lesson and fails the test, it is not the fault of the teacher when the teacher has poured it on out and then there are others who are doing well. It's evidence that the message is there, the lesson was given, because there are some that are doing well. What is happening to the rest? They have not grasped the concept, and unfortunately, a lot don't know how to really put these things into play, and that's why the shift is here. That is why the shift was organized, so that for those who have read stuff but you don't fully know how to convert this, you see principles and you don't even realize that what you just read is principle, and
Yes.
you sort of just skim over it, and you don't recognize how powerful what you have just read really is. And so we are really going to be digging into some phenomenal stuff on October 28th, when you guys pouring out the shift, because it's so much that we really want to pour into you, but you have to be there, because a lot of the things require us showing you. It's more than just talking. Some of these things require us showing you and bringing you through these things so that you'll be able to align yourself and to make that transformation. Your life will completely shift when you understand certain things. And that is what is so powerful, that you can go from absolute nothingness and you can create a powerful and beautiful life for yourself. You didn't come from money, did you? Tell us
and it is funny you say that, because I was thinking back when I was a youngster And my mom had 8 boys, and we had to pass the clothes down from one to another. But the thought that came across my mind, I remember one day getting on the bus to go to school, and I had a size 7 shoe on one foot and a size 8 shoe on the other foot, and they were stapled in the back to keep it together. And
Oh,
and when people be like, "Oh no, 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 that couldn't have been you," I said, "Yes, it was.
mm,
Yes, it was."
my God.
Yeah, but it's all about how you present things to yourself. Because if you don't present it to yourself, because yes, others will come and others will show you, but it's something you have to take and run with it. Because if you don't take it and run, it's just the old saying, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make that horse drink.
Yep.
So are we going to have some drinkers at the shift? Or are we going to have the ones that stand by and said, hey, I shoulda, woulda, coulda went to that shift, but I didn't.
Hmm.
And then when they see that friend drive down the road in that new car, they say, oh, yes, I went to that shift. I went to the shift. You should have been there.
Should have
Huh?
been there. And this morning, as I was driving out, and I was trying to do a video. I was trying to do the lighting was messing my video up, but I was trying to do a video, and I was basically in that video. What I was basically trying to say was that there were a lot of people who have been earnestly praying. They have been saying to God, Lord, send me help. I need a financial breakthrough. I need a release. Lord, I need money. I need something to change in my life. I am tired of this struggle. I'm tired of not being able to pay the bills. I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm tired of being broke and confused and distressed. There are people who have literally been crying out to God for help. And this is the help. This is a help. I was listening to Michelle last night as she shared. Michelle is one of the presenters as well, and she
Mm.
shared the story about the young man who was stuck in a storm, and he was on this little boat that was almost about to sink, and different persons came by offering him help, and each time the persons came by, he said, no, God's got me. God's gonna come and he's gonna rescue me. And eventually he drowned, went to heaven, and he said to God, God, why didn't you rescue me? Why didn't you save me? And God said to him, son, I came to you 3 times. I sent help 3 times, but you never took the help, right? And so
Yes.
that spoke to me in volumes, because this is the help that you need. So those who have been sitting there, have been praying and have been desiring for God to do something, for God to show up, this is him showing up. This is him extending his hands out to you, and it's for you to grab hold of his hand and to jump, make sure that you're at the shift so that you can learn the principles that are going to transform your life. You will never be able to make that shift, that transformation, if you do not understand certain principles. You're always going to be stuck. You're always going to be going around in circles, making the same amount of money, not little or no progress. But if you want to break free of that, you have to understand principles. And the Bible tells us that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. There is information out there that you need to know. You need to know these things for you to make that shift. And I'm speaking to you. I want you to understand that in order for your life to shift, there are things you have to understand. And as you understand these things, your life will start to expand and your life will start to change. For all of us, who are going to be sharing with you at the shift, our life only transformed because we grabbed hold to principle and we went to work on principle. We learned the principles and we went to work. We implemented the things that we learned. But if you don't know the principles, what will you implement? You'll implement the rubbish that you heard from your mom and your grandfather, your grandmother, and everybody else around you. That's what you're going to implement. You're going to implement all of the lack conversations. You're going to implement all of the negatives, all of the things that are literally the things that are holding you back. And so there, like I said, there are people who are praying, and this is the answer. This is God stretching his hand out to you, and he's saying, daughter, son, this is the answer right here. Make sure you do not miss this event, because this is the answer that you have been waiting on. So Sir McNeil, so why should people be at the ship? Outside of all of that amazingness that I shared, what do you want to add to that?
I believe, and I challenge them,
Yeah.
that if they would just only take the time out to invest in themselves just one time, I will guarantee them, if they come willing to learn, willing to be a sponge, come dry, but come and absorb as much as you can like a sponge. And as we often say, you cannot come in contact with God and remain the same. I will say you cannot come in contact with coming to the shift and remain the same if you take these simple principles, just a simple principle, and activate it into your life. Activate it in your life. Because if you don't, unfortunately, nobody else will.
Hmm. That's it right there. And there's no one coming to rescue you. That's just it. You're your
It's,
own rescue. You are your own rescue. You have to rescue you. All right.
yes.
So I think we're gonna leave it at that. Do you have something else I want to pop in there very quickly before we jump out of here?
Looking forward to see everyone there. And I know this is a personal note because I shared this with Crystal when she called me and asked me. The first question I asked her was, "Do you know what date you're saying?" Right? And she said, "I said, but I'm coming to Jamaica to celebrate my birthday, right? But I will take the time out to be with my friend Crystalette because I believe that there's a wealth of knowledge that needs to be obtained by those that will come." And Chris,
Yeah,
you know that I'm a giver, right?
absolutely.
And you know that I plant seeds all over the place.
Absolutely.
Okay? I'm going to step out today. You know the area. You know who's hungry. You know who's hungry. I'm not somebody that just, you see, when people say they're hungry, right? They want lobster, they want shrimp, right? But you know what? I was told if you had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? And it filled your stomach, that took care of the hunger. So, what I'm saying to you is, I have one ticket I'm going to purchase for someone that
Yeah.
if they truly want to make that shift, get in contact with Crystalette, right? Don't talk to me, talk directly to her, okay? And she will get back with me. And I will hope to see that individual say, thank you. You can call me just simple, Brother McNeil, because I'm not so much into the title, right? But you can just come and say, hey, thank you personally for inviting me. And I will do. Okay?
Awesome, awesome. So you've heard it for yourself. He is willing to sponsor someone for the ship. So here's how I'm going to do this. Pretty much the first person who goes ahead and texts this number, 815-6046. You're going to be getting straight to my assistant and just tell her your name, right? And she's going to hook you up. The very first person to text or WhatsApp, 815-6046. I should put the area code on that. That's 876-815-6046. I keep forgetting that we're all over the place and not just here in Jamaica. But the first person to reach out and said, I saw the video with you and Vincent McNeil. I want to access that sponsorship, or you can just text sponsorship, something along that line. And the very first person to do that, we're going to get you set up. You're going to be paid for in full, and you're going to get to access all of this amazingness for free. And I hope that you're going to utilize what you get exposed there, and to really just truly just use that. All right, so we're going to close out at that, but we look forward to seeing you at the shift. We'll see you there.